Siltation. What is the meaning of siltation? It is mixing up of soil or rocks into water. Microorganisms are usually from the domestic waste or domestic sewage. That is the source of microorganisms. In turn, the microorganism will use up all the oxygen which is there in the water. That is, BOD value will tell us whether the water is highly polluted or not. What is BOD? Hello my dear students, welcome back to the last session on the chapter Environmental Chemistry. Last class we studied about the acid rain, smog and the formation of ozone hole, isn't it? Today we'll study about water pollution as well as soil pollution. So first, what is the meaning of water pollution? Contamination of water with foreign substance which is harmful for the environment as well as human health is called as water pollution, and the foreign substance which is added is called as the pollutants, isn't it? So what is it? Contamination of water by foreign substance which makes it harmful for health of animals or plants or aquatic life and make it unfit for domestic and industrial as well as agricultural use is called as water pollution. So what are the different sources of water pollution? It is sewage and domestic waste, isn't it? The sewage or any domestic waste is there. If we leave it directly to any water bodies like river, stream, etc., they'll cause pollution. Then we have industrial effluents, any waste which is coming from industries, again they can cause water pollution. Then we have agricultural effluents, that is during agriculture they might add or they might spray some insecticides or pesticides, addition of fertilizers. All of this can be washed off during irrigation in agriculture and it will go into the ultimate water body like rivers, streams, etc. Then we have siltation. What is the meaning of siltation? It is mixing up of soil or rocks into water. We call it as siltation, which is again causing water pollution. Next we have thermal pollutants from thermal power plants, and then we have radioactive discharge or radioactive pollutants which can be left into the water bodies and create all the problems of water pollution. Next we have the major water pollutants which is there, that is the pollutant and from where or what is the source of that pollutant. Okay, so first, microorganisms. Microorganisms are usually from the domestic waste or domestic sewage. That is the source of microorganisms. See, microorganisms which cause diseases are called as pathogens, and that is the very hazardous pollutant to leave it directly to any water body. Okay, next we have organic waste. Organic waste can come from all of these sources. You can see it can be domestic sewage, animal excreta waste, decaying animal and plants, discharge from food processing factories, etc. So these are all called as organic waste. They are degradable, but of course they are something which causes lot of harm to the water. Next we have plant nutrients, that is from chemical fertilizers. Then we have toxic heavy metals, that is from industries and chemical factories. Then the pollutants can be sediments, that is from erosion of soil by agriculture and strip mining. That is during mining and agriculture, whatever soil, extra soil is there, that can cause siltation. So sediments are also pollutants. Then we have pesticides, again these are used in farming, in agriculture. Then we have radioactive substances. Source is from mining of uranium containing the minerals. Okay, so during mining of uranium we know it is radioactive, and during this process uranium can go and reach the water bodies and cause pollution. Next we have heat. This is from thermal power plants where hot water is left directly into the rivers, which can cause lot of hazard to the aquatic life. That is, hot water we know contains very less amount of dissolved oxygen, as well as it's in a high temperature, which can cause the loss of aquatic life. So water used for cooling in industries as well as from the thermal power plants can be left directly into the water bodies, which is also a pollutant. So these are the different sources or the pollutants which we know, and their sources from where exactly it is coming. Next we have causes of water pollution. Now in detail we have, that is, first is pathogens. As I told you, pathogens are those microorganisms which cause diseases, okay, and these pathogens are there in the sewage which we are leaving directly into the water bodies. So the most serious water pollutant are the disease causing agents called as pathogens, and pathogens include bacteria or any other microorganism that enter from the domestic sewage or from the animal excreta. It can be E. coli, that is Escherichia coli, as well as it can also be Streptococcus faecalis, which will cause gastrointestinal diseases, and it can cause food poisoning, etc. if the water is not clean what we are drinking, okay. So, and what is the source of this pollutant? It is mainly sewage and animal excreta. Next we have the organic waste. Now, from where exactly the organic waste is coming? The organic waste such as leaves, grass, trash, then it can be from any food processing industries, or it can be some agricultural waste, or it can be domestic sewage which you are adding directly into water, which are called as the organic waste. What exactly does the organic waste do to water? When organic waste is added or it is left directly into the water bodies, the growth of microorganisms are there which will degrade these organic waste. Because they are biodegradable, the microorganisms will start degrading these or decomposing these organic waste. In turn, the microorganism will use up all the oxygen which is there in the water. That is, we know that oxygen content which is dissolved in water is less compared to oxygen content which is there in the air, okay. And if the microorganisms are using up all the oxygen which is there in the water, then if the oxygen content in the water is reducing below 6 ppm, okay, then the fishes may start dying, or the growth of fishes is completely inhibited. Then what happens? See, a lot of organic waste is there. Microorganisms are continuously trying to decompose them. In turn, the oxygen in the water is reduced and the aquatic life can die. Also, once the oxygen content in water is reduced, then again anaerobic bacteria or the microorganisms start working on the same organic matter, and once when the anaerobic degradation or decomposition is taking place, then there is a lot of foul smell which can start coming from the water bodies, and this water becomes unfit for drinking as well as unfit for any aquatic life, okay. So adding excess of organic waste to water bodies can cause a lot of pollution, okay. Next is about the biochemical oxygen demand, that is BOD. From the exam point of view, this is one of the important questions which can be asked. So what exactly is BOD or biochemical oxygen demand? It is the amount of oxygen that is required by bacteria to break down the organic matter present in a sample of water. What is it? How much of oxygen demand is there to break down the organic matter present in the volume of sample of water is called as BOD. That means to tell that if the BOD level is high, that is the biochemical oxygen demand is high, that means it is highly polluted water. Why? Because there is a lot of organic waste, thus the microorganisms require a lot of oxygen to break them, isn't it? Thus, clean water would have BOD value less than 5, and the polluted water, highly polluted water, will always have BOD more than 17 ppm. Okay, so BOD value will tell us whether the water is highly polluted or not. What is BOD? Biochemical oxygen demand. Okay, next is about the chemical pollutants. What are chemical pollutants? chemical pollutants can be any chemicals which is added, which is harmful for health as well as makes the water unfit for drinking. So any chemicals added which makes it harmful or the water harmful for or unfit for drinking, we call them as chemical pollutants. And we know that water is an excellent solvent. It solubilizes many things. We call it as a universal solvent as well. Correct? Because of this reason, there are so many things which is soluble, so many chemicals which is soluble in water, and thus due to this reason, water can have lot of chemicals dissolved in them. So as we know, water is an excellent solvent. Water soluble inorganic chemical that include heavy metals such as cadmium, mercury, nickel, etc. constitute an important class of pollutants. Heavy metals, when it is going into the water, then lot of problems can be caused in the health of human beings as well. Okay, and all these metals are dangerous to human because our body cannot excrete them, and there can be biomagnification which can also lead to mental as well as the physical disorders in the future. Also, these metals, as it cannot be excreted from our body, when the tolerance limit is crossed, it can also cause damage to kidneys, central nervous system, liver, and as I told you all, it can lead to giving birth to mentally challenged or physically challenged child. Okay, so that's about the chemical pollutants. Next we have eutrophication. Again, a very important question for your exam. Eutrophication. Okay, the process in which the nutrient enriched water bodies support the dense plant growth, which kills the animal life by depriving them of the oxygen and results in a subsequent loss of biodiversity, is called as eutrophication. Now what exactly happens here is, we add lot of fertilizers during the agricultural process, and when we are irrigating our agricultural lands, the water what is there washes off or it carries the fertilizers also, and ultimately it goes into the water bodies. It can be lakes or rivers or streams which is nearby. Correct? Now the water bodies, for example, it has gone and reached a lake. Now that lake becomes very rich in the fertilizer content. Okay, and the plant which is there, the plants which is dependent or which is there in the lake, or which may be submerged or which is growing in the lake, will start growing in excess quantity. When the plants start growing in excess quantity, the aquatic life, that is the fishes and the other animals, aquatic animals, start getting affected because of the oxygen level starts becoming lesser and lesser for the aquatic life there. Okay, especially the animals. And due to the excess of the plant growth, the aquatic animal life becomes lesser and lesser, and there is a loss of biodiversity. That is, the animals may not grow in that lake at all, or the growth is inhibited. It can kill all the fishes, etc. And thus, this process is called as eutrophication. So what happens? The water in the lakes or the water bodies become very rich in the nutrients, and in turn it will allow only the plants to grow, and the animals will not have enough oxygen for their growth and they'll start dying, and this process is called as eutrophication. Here you can see this is a lake in which you can see only plants which is there. It looks really very nice. The entire lake, you have one layer full of plants. It looks green, green, green. But actually what is happening there is, because of the excess of plant growth, there is no aquatic life which is living there. And due to this, the biodiversity loss is there, and we call this process as eutrophication. Okay. Next is about the soil pollution. Soil or our land is getting polluted majorly because of the pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, etc. Okay, so first we look into the pesticides. Pesticides are basically synthetic toxic chemicals with ecological repercussion Okay, the repeated use of the same kind of pesticides, what happens is the pest gets resistant to that chemical. Now, first, when you want to get rid of a pest, we use a pesticide, the pest will die or that insect will die. Same time, you are using the same pesticides over and over again. Ultimately, that insect what is there or the pest what is there will start getting resistant to that chemical, and thus in a long run will not be able to use that pesticide at all. Okay, and also most of the organic toxins are water insoluble and non biodegradable. Okay, what happens, they are not soluble in water and they are not biodegradable also, and these high persistent toxins are therefore transferred from lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. So what happens is, these pesticides, again as I told you all, when it is added in excess, it will ultimately reach the water bodies because of the irrigation process in the agriculture, and once it goes and reaches the water bodies, it can be eaten up by the fishes. Fishes are again eaten up by humans, or it can be eaten up by other animals, which ultimately the other animals also, it can be eaten up by humans, and it goes on increasing in the trophic level. First it is taken up by the producers, that is the plants. Okay, then it is taken up by the consumers, that is those animals which are dependent on the producers. It can be herbivores, it can be carnivores, etc. Then again it can go, and in the consumers it can go first to primary consumers, then to secondary consumers, and then to the tertiary consumers. So it goes on increasing in the concentration as we go up the trophic level. In the trophic level, what we have in the lowest region are the producers. Okay, then we have the primary consumers, then we have the secondary, and then the tertiary consumers. Okay, so first these chemicals will be absorbed by the producers. These producers are eaten up by primary consumers. The primary consumers are eaten up by secondary consumers, secondary to tertiary or primary to tertiary it happens, and the concentration goes on increasing in the tertiary consumers, and it can cause, over time, the concentration of the toxin in the higher animals reach a level which causes serious metabolic and physiological disorders. So it is very important when we are using pesticides to look into what kind of pesticides we are using and whether it is actually very necessary to use them, how exactly it is, whether it's a biodegradable one, non-biodegradable one, or whether it is causing biomagnification. All of this has to be taken care of. Next, we have herbicides. Herbicides are also ones which can cause soil pollution. These are added to kill the the plants which are unwanted, or we call them as weeds. Okay. Example are sodium chlorate and sodium arsenate. Next, we have the industrial waste. Industrial solid waste are also sorted out as biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Okay, industrial waste, we can sort it out into two types: biodegradable, non-biodegradable. Biodegradable waste are those which are generated by cotton mills, food processing units, paper mills, textile factories, etc. And the non-biodegradable ones are generated by the power plants that produce fly ash, integrated iron and steel plants which produces slag in the blast furnace, etc. So here, industrial waste are of two types: biodegradable, non-biodegradable. And how do we control them, or the strategies to control environmental pollution? As I told you, first thing what we need to do is the waste management. Segregate the biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Biodegradable waste are generated, as I told you, from the food processing unit or from cotton industries, or the organic matter which comes like domestic waste or animal excreta, or it can be any other organic substance which can be biodegradable ones. Okay, management, how can we do that? We can deposit all the biodegradable waste in landfills and convert them to compost. We have to do the composting so that all the biodegradable ones are converted into compost, which is very useful. Next, non-biodegradable waste, whatever we have the main ones which are coming from the thermal power plants, that is the fly ash, and from the iron and steel industries, that is the slags which are coming. Now this what has to be done? Either it has to be recycled, and toxic waste, that is radioactive waste and all these waste which are very toxic, they have to be controlled by incineration. Incineration means it is burnt in such a way that there is no pollutants which is going out from the incinerator. Okay. Next, we have something called as green chemistry. What is green chemistry? Green chemistry is a strategy to design chemical process and products that reduce or eliminate, okay, the use or generation of hazardous substance. We should not use hazardous substance, nor the reaction should give rise to any hazardous substance or the pollutants. This process is called as green chemistry. So it's a chemical process itself in which we are using any hazardous substance, nor it should give rise to any hazardous substance. Then we call it as green chemistry. The strategy of green chemistry is very, very important for us at this point of time to save ourselves and save Mother Earth. Okay. As I told you, the chemical reaction should be such that the reactants are fully converted into useful, environment friendly products, and by using the environmental friendly medium, so that there won't be any chemical which is going into the environment which causes pollution. So this strategy we call it as green chemistry. Next, there is one green chemistry which is added or changes has been done in our day-to-day life, that is dry cleaning of clothes. Earlier was done by tetrachloroethene, which contaminates the groundwater, whereas now we use liquefied carbon dioxide with a suitable detergent for dry cleaning purposes. Bleaching of paper, earlier it was done by chlorine gas, again which is a pollutant, and now it is done by hydrogen peroxide with suitable catalyst. And this is one approach of green chemistry which you need to know. Okay. So thank you, my dear children. Stay tuned, stay focused for more updates.